So this will be my final presentation for Intro into Sports Business, and I'll be talking about sports betting. Alright. So why is sports gambling so big today? So sports betting became legal in 2018. Before that, you could sports bet in casinos and stuff like that, but the only reason why it became legal in 2018 is because the betting websites had to post like public odds and all those stuff. The reason why people love to do it, like myself, I'm an active sports bettor, is because it does give you some extra motivation to watch the game, adds some incentive if you lose or win, especially if you win. Why did major sports leagues do it is because they can add sponsorships, which can indeed add more revenue to their sports leagues. All right. Ethics into sports betting. There's been many athletes that have been accused or have fallen to victim of fixing games. Some examples are Shohei Ohtani, MLB, his manager. I talked about this earlier on in one of my earlier assignments in this class, but his manager was betting on games and all that. Not a great look. DeJounte Porter was permanently banned from the MLB for gambling on games, and Calvin Ridley on the NFL was suspended for a whole year when it was found that he was putting money on games. It is very hard for sports leagues to really monitor this because there's so many different factors that can involve with sports fixing games and gambling. So just those are the biggest athletes that have been caught so far. Shohei Ohtani didn't really face too much discipline from that action. I think he just fired his manager. All right, why can't this become super dangerous? So the New York Post quoted that since sports gambling has become illegal, there's been an increase in around 23% in gambling addicts. Obviously, bet responsibly, but some people just can't do it, So that's one. It's a big one, It's just people betting money that they don't have, and they end up going in debt. The issue with gambling is the dopamine increase that you get from when you hit for money. It feels good. I've hit for over $200. I understand how people can fall victim of this, but the addiction happens when you're trying to chase your losses, which is not something you should be doing. And when people gamble irresponsibly, the consequences can be bigger than just them. It can affect their families and friends, so on and so on. There's a big topic of discussion that I could talk about with this. All right, SWOT analysis. So I'm just going over the strengths of this sports booking. Generates revenue for the sports. Obviously, when people put money on the games, people are going to watch the games more. That's just how it is. Adds enjoyment towards games. Personally, I know that's true. Because whenever I have money on games, my attention span's dialed in to that. Adds potential sponsorships with these sports bookings, which can help also generate revenue for these leagues and teams as well. And it can build communities and fan bases towards certain players. When somebody hits for big money on a certain player, they can become a fan, buy their merchandise. But it also can be a negative too when the latter happens, when somebody doesn't hit for big money. It can make them hate the player, which I also put that could be a negative as well. All right, SWOT analysis. So this is the weaknesses for morality. I put on here just like alcohol can be good in moderation. Sports betting can be good in moderation. There's nothing wrong with putting a couple bucks on the Super Bowl, but it's just when it becomes a really bad habit. You're betting every day. You're betting money that you don't have. That can become a little potentially dangerous. Can lead to more negative press too. Let's be honest. Gambling is not very it's gotten better, but it's not like in held high regards. Like it's just not something that looks great, but people have become more accepting of sports betting. I also put potential for games to be fixed or rigged. I said that a couple slides ago. This is probably the biggest one for just like the authenticity of games, because when games become fixed or rigged, that just throws like FBI's can come in, get involved, investigations into the league can get involved, people can get banned, people can go to jail, all that. That's not good. All right, the SWOT analysis for opportunities. So this can add more of a demographic towards the sports. Obviously, like I said, putting money on a game makes people more interested in it. Adds revenue to the sports teams and also the leagues as well, by getting those sponsorships and so on. And it also can affect the game's quality as well. People who actually focus a lot more on it probably will enjoy the game more. And obviously when you put more money on the game, you become more locked in on the game than what's actually happening. All right, so what are the threats? Games being fixed. Talked about it a lot. This is really, really something that needs to be looked on more often towards these leagues, in my opinion. Government restrictions, higher taxes being imposed on sports betting. It's just a way for governments to, be able to regulate it and get more taxes from it, which, whatever. Competing sports booking apps with different odds and programs to earn potential new people more money, so on and so forth. Like there's different like rewards programs, stuff like that. So that can like differ between each sports booking, which can lead to higher competition, so on and so forth. All right, so what have the challenges been for sports booking? I talked about this earlier on my other slide, but the government implication with sports betting, it can get a little dicey because like obviously the government gets their share of your profits, which suck, but whatever. So we'll go on your sport. I'm not 100% sure if the sports booking apps have to log in yours or you have to. I'm not 100% sure. But what I found is that it does go through the sports books. So I didn't put anything in last year on my W-2 about it, but who knows. The rise of sports gambling addiction. This has been horrible. Obviously, sports addiction is really bad, or gambling addiction is really bad. And the added of the 23% that I got from the New York Times post. Yeah, that's not good. Obviously, some people can't control their impulses in putting money on games. So that's just something that sadly is a reality when it comes to sports booking. And also the added competition between companies vying for new users. So these companies could add in better rewards for putting money on there, which could add on to the gambling addiction rate. Yeah, that's about it. And I have my references. I got 3 references on my last slide. Yeah.